Okay, now, as you can see, the construction of the toolkit squaring function is upside down now, so I can use the side of the board and have it over here because the camera angle is better. I block screen less if I'm aiming the camera over here. Okay, and I want to keep this here. I could have cleared it off, but remember you saw the picture. And if you miss it, I'm sorry, you'll see it again. That picture helps keep the camera focused on the board because the camera has its own idea about where it should focus, and I can't do a fixed focus with this camera. Other than that, it's a great camera. Okay. So we want to construct a graph of the toolkit exponential function. I didn't use graph of here. And we're going to use almost exactly the same construction that we use for the toolkit squaring function. Now, I really recommend that if you haven't practiced doing the toolkit squaring function a couple of times until you can do it without looking at my pictures and my directions and everything. If you can't just put everything aside, take a square, write it out, and construct the toolkit squaring function. And it might take you 2 or 3 tries before you get it all right. Because of course, then you want to go back and check and make sure it comes out about the same as what I did. Well, you need to practice that until you can do it, or at least until you think you're about there, because it's going to be easier to understand what I say here if you've got that one done. Okay, so the construction here is almost the same as the construction we had there. But again, if you haven't done that construction, haven't attempted it at least a couple of times without stuff in front of you, you should stop and do that. Okay, again, otherwise you're being passive. You're not going to learn as much as quickly. Okay, takes a little time, but you learn it much better. Doesn't take that long either. Okay, so the same square with the same red dot. And you could actually do exactly what we did here. But I'm going to leave out one step. So vertically, I'm going to draw my vertical line from the center. Looks like that one came out a little better than last. Okay, then from the right edge, I go halfway to the center. That's a little too close to the center, maybe it's a little wide up here. Still, it's going to be okay. But try to do better. Try to do better than I did. Now, the next thing we did over there is we went halfway from here to the center again. We're not going to have to do that. Although it doesn't hurt to do it. And you can always do it if you have a reason. Every time there's a reason. Okay, then halfway from the left edge to the center. Here. And I almost did halfway from there to the center, but we're not going to bother with that. Okay, that's good. Now we're going to do exactly the same thing we did with the horizontal lines. You remember what that was? You should go ahead and do it. But here we go. Hopefully you stop and do it. There it is. Halfway from the upper edge to the lower edge. And halfway from there to the lower edge. Let's be kind of careful to get this a little better than we did last time. Okay. And halfway from there to the lower edge would be about here. And halfway from there to the lower edge is here. So we started from the upper edge, from halfway, then halfway, then halfway, then halfway to the lower edge. Now this is a little better than what I did over there. It's divided up a little more accurately in the horizontal direction. Vertically, it's not quite as good, I think, as what I did over there. Okay, now the procedure for locating your dots is very simple. You start here at the left edge on the lowest dotted line, not on the lower edge of the square, but on this dotted line. And then we move to the next vertical line and the next horizontal line. Then we move to the next vertical line and the next horizontal line and the next vertical line and the next horizontal line and the next vertical line and the next horizontal. And now we're going 2, 3, 4, 5 points. And there's a very simple and actually much easier to draw than the parabola. Is a simple curve. It's easier to draw it in the parabola because we don't have to worry about the symmetry. So we just start here. Move to this point, gradually increase the steepness until we get this point. And that's a pretty good graph of the toolkit exponential function. That's it. I'm not going to write down a bunch of instructions. I wrote down a bunch here. The only difference, well, I will write down a few things. The only difference is you don't have to do 2 subdivisions starting here or 2 subdivisions starting. Okay. And then you don't have to skip any lines when you draw your points. So I'm going to write a little of that down just for completeness. Okay, I wrote more than I intended, but hopefully it'll be beneficial for you, especially if you're not quite sure what you just saw and what you just heard. Vertically, you just do 1 subdivision on each side. Over here, we did 1 subdivision and another on each side, 1 subdivision and another. Horizontally, same as for the toolkit squaring function. Starting here, you subdivide it once. That is, you cut the rectangle in half. Cut the resulting rectangle in half. Subdivide again, cutting each new rectangle in half. Then, to draw your graph, well, you draw your points. You start at the left edge on the lowest dotted line. On the dotted line, not down here, here. You move 1 line to the right, 1 line up. You repeat, meaning you move 1 line to the right, 1 line up. You repeat, you move 1 line to the right, 1 line up. Now, I didn't say move 1 line to the right, 1 line up, because you might think I'm talking only about dotted lines, since that's what I started with. So I just say you end up at the upper right-hand corner, but that is 1 line over, 1 line up. Okay, so there you have it. There's a good graph of an exponential function.